So let's talk a little bit about where people live. In the world today, we have around 7.7 to 7.9 billion people. The location of those populations have a few different patterns. For the most part, the majority of human beings live within about 200 miles of a seacoast. That's one pattern. There are some really, really sparsely settled areas of the world. In other words, there are places in the world where you just don't find very many human beings. We can divide those areas up into three large groups. One is those areas that are along the equator. There are a few exceptions to this. Indonesia, a few areas in Highland, East Africa. For the most part, the tropical rainforest areas of the world generally don't support large populations at least currently. Now, the other two areas would include the arid regions of the world, the areas of generally about 20 degrees latitude up to about 30 degrees north latitude. And this is the area right along the Tropic of Cancer, and to a lesser degree, the Tropic of Capricorn in the southern hemisphere. So those are the great areas of deserts and arid lands. And these are the huge areas such as the Sahara Desert, the Gobi Desert, the Himalayan Plateau in Central Asia. A few smaller areas in around the world, most of Australia, of course, but a few other deserts in South America. And then the third class of regions that people, for the most part, are not found in large numbers are, of course, the poles, the poleward areas, the areas that are too close to the poles or too far north or too far south for agriculture. And in a sense, all of those three areas, areas without a growing season, as in northern Canada, northern Siberia, and Antarctica and Greenland, those areas that simply don't support agriculture, period, are areas where people have to get along through hunting, gathering, fishing, other ways of life, or importing it all by airplane, as in the case of Antarctica. In the arid regions, and to a lesser extent in the tropical rainforest areas, agricultural production is what has forever limited population size. There are a few great examples, or a few great exceptions to that, and that would include places like the Nile Valley in Egypt, the Indus Valley in Pakistan, and perhaps a few others. The Valley of Mexico is also fairly arid, and it supported large populations, but that was because of an adaptation to certain types of agriculture. So, the areas where you don't find many human beings are those areas that have not supported agriculture. And in the opposite sense, those areas with the highest concentrations of population are typically the areas that have had historically very successful agriculture. In fact, those areas with the highest population concentrations in the world are some of the oldest agricultural regions on the planet. Take, for example, the area of South Asia, the Ganges Valley. The Ganges Valley was one of the recipients of early agriculture from the Indus River Valley. Likewise, northern eastern China was an early area of agricultural innovation, where we have both small grains and rice. So if you look on the map of the three great population concentrations, or three great population clusters of the world, those are eastern China, or basically East Asia, and South Asia, which includes what is today India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bhutan. So South Asia, East Asia, and the other one is Europe. For the most part, Europe is not as large as the other two, but it is the third most significant one in terms of population concentrations. And Europe's agriculture has been around for thousands of years as a result of migrations, primarily from the Middle East, from the old Fertile Crescent region. European agriculture, East Asian agriculture, and South Asian agriculture were all very, very fortunate to have produced large food surpluses, largely because they utilized animal power early on. With animal power and the plow, large food surpluses gave way to larger and larger and more complex societies. And those societies were able to support, in some cases, urban empires, at least urban concentrations of people. So the three great population clusters of the world, again, East Asia, South Asia, and Europe. So, three great population clusters.